Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So, this is Shabbat Chanukah. Turn to your neighbor, say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Happy Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah. So we get this story, this Shabbat, because our cycle moves around. We get a different Haftarah, which we'll do later, Zechariah, for this Shabbat. But we get the story of Joseph, the story of turning our curses. We're going to turn our curses into blessings, synchronicity, the knowledge that we are exactly where we are meant to be. Sometimes we don't realize that. And that everything happens for a reason. And this is some of what we're going to learn from our Parsha this Shabbat. Angels, once again, we've had a lot of angels the last few Shabbatot. Sibling rivalry, we've had a lot of that. Hatred, jealousy, betrayal, revenge, glorious redemption, and ascension. All of this and more can be found in our Torah portion this Shabbat, all of it, Vayeshev. It is one of the most famous ones, because it begins with, as I said, the story of Joseph. You know, the one with the Technicolor Dreamcoat? This is his life's tale, and it's quite a story. He is a dreamer, he is a visionary, he is a prophet. And because of this, his brothers hate him with a passion. Sometimes it's both a blessing and a curse to know things. Have you ever experienced that? Sometimes don't shoot the messenger. People don't want to know what you have to say. And that's kind of what happens to him. However, it is our job to turn the curses that we feel into blessings. There's always the flip side, the yin, the yang, the Yetzer Hara, the Yetzer HaTov. There's always that ability to flip things. Joseph, at first, as he's processing his messages, as can happen when we're new to messages and we share them, he's not so humble. But as he learns to navigate his dreams, he then starts to grow as time goes on. But in the beginning, he boasts to his brothers that one day they will all bow down to him. And that is just the final straw. Siblings, they don't like that. So they conspire to throw him into a pit, for him to die, but instead he's sold into slavery, and he ends up spending much of his life in Egypt. Well, there he is admired by Potiphar's wife. Potiphar was the highest leader, one of the highest leaders in the land at the time. He was the captain of Pharaoh's guard. Well, his wife decides that she kind of likes Joseph, and she kind of comes after him, sets a little trap, wants to seduce him. But Joseph, he's not having any part of it. This makes her mad. She's not happy about that. So when she is rebuked by him, she gets him thrown in jail for 12 years. While there, now remember the number 12, 1 and 2 reduces down to 3, creates order out of the chaos. While there, he meets 2 trusted servants, a royal butler and a royal baker. He interprets their dreams, then he becomes famous. Word spreads of his abilities, and he rises to be the second in command, guiding the country through famine and hardship. He's got Pharaoh's ear, only to, at one point later on, meet back up again with his brothers, and then they all have kind of a moment of fruition and revelation, and they forgive, and they talk it out, and they renew their relationship. And that is the key. Forgiveness, humility, seizing opportunity when it is presented, and not being afraid to use the gifts that God has given us to turn our curses into blessings, to make that miracle happen, which is why we have this on Shabbat this year. We need to know that there are curses upon us. There's a lot of lies being spread about us, the Jewish people, and we are responsible. We must turn those curses into blessing. We must flip the switch. What got Joseph into trouble with his brothers eventually saves him, saves the Pharaoh, saves Egypt, saves his family, and restores balance and order in their world and ultimate redemption. Rabbi Yehoshua Gordon comments on Joseph's amazing ability to not only overcome, but to excel beyond his wildest belief, or anyone's for that matter. So we can ask, what was the true source of his power? It was magical in a sense, technicolor power. Rabbi Gordon states, Joseph never once expresses self-pity. Not once in the whole story does he ever say, poor me. Not once does he ever say, why me? I knew someone once, a young man who had a lot of money, and he had a Lamborghini, and his license plate said, why me? And he got in a horrible accident and was paralyzed for the rest of his life. So we have to be careful of the energy that we put out there. So not once does Joseph say, I'm having a nervous breakdown. I earned it. I deserve it. No one has the right to take this opportunity away from me. He doesn't say this. And if anyone had a right to have a nervous breakdown, it was Joseph. Yet, he never, ever utters a single word of complaint. While in prison, Joseph observes that the butler and the baker appear despondent. And even then, he asks them, why are your faces looking so sad today? Do you have a problem? How can I help? Even when he was wronged and thrown in prison for something that he was actually acting righteously over. Why does Joseph care if these guys are having a bad day? They're not his friends. In fact, the Midrash teaches that these two individuals were associates of Potiphar, the very man who threw Joseph into prison. One might have expected Joseph to harbor bitterness and resentment and be consumed by that. But instead, he's upbeat, he's chipper. He's concerned only that the two total strangers appear unhappy, and he wants to know what he can do to help. Where does he get his strength? The answer lies in his unwavering belief that God was with him throughout his entire ordeal. And it's so hard to believe that when we're in the middle of the darkness, which is why we have the miracle of Hanukkah and the light. He lived with the awareness that nothing happens without reason, even when we don't understand the reason. He understood that whatever befell him, being sold into slavery, thrown into prison, or interpreting dreams for others, was orchestrated by God for a reason that we will never understand. In every circumstance, Joseph recognized that divine providence places us where we are for a purpose. If Joseph had not been sold into slavery, if he had not been falsely accused, if he had not been imprisoned for years, he would have never become the viceroy, that Egypt would not have survived the famine, and that the children of Israel would not have been saved. This theme resurfaces later in Joseph's life after his father's passing, when his brothers seek forgiveness for selling him into slavery. Joseph is incredulous. Am I God? He responds. Only God can see the future. God placed me here at this point in time to save my life, your lives, and all of our lives. Please don't feel bad. God sent me here as a force of life before you. It is a good thing. We must learn from Joseph's example. Despite only Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob being called our patriarchs, the Jewish people are also referred to as the sons of Joseph. Each of us carries a little bit of Joseph within. And we must summon the strength and the fortitude, the vision and the courage to confront any challenges that might, God forbid, come our way, which we're dealing with right now, understanding everything. It may seem so hard to understand and believe, but everything it stems from God, and it serves a divine purpose. Rather than falling into the poor me victimization trap, we must strive to maximize the opportunities that have been given to us by divine providence. So here we all are. This Shabbat falls during Hanukkah, a time of miracle, a time of redemption from military struggles and debilitating desecration and ruin. This year, it coincides with this waging war that we have in Israel and Ukraine, the fight for good over evil, the underdog, the small, the few, fighting against Goliath, the mighty. It is hard to hang on and believe with perfect faith that God's got us, as in the Holocaust, that all will be good, that this could be a part of some bizarre divine plan happening for a reason, and that truth and justice, redemption and restoration will be had. Curses turned into blessings through a miracle of connection. However, looking back, History has shown us time and again that some of the greatest positive, life-altering strides were made after extraordinary hardship, devastation, and sacrifice. Joseph went through horrific trials only to end up on top. Why? Because he didn't give up. He kept his faith, a positive attitude, his desire to help others see what he could see. He wasn't afraid of his prophetic dreams. He learned to be humble with them, and he learned to express them and to process them and to share them come what may. He trusted the messages and he acted upon them, and that's what we must do. We must learn from Joseph. We must temper our relaying of messages with kindness and to be humble, so we don't fall into a trap of despair, and share with an eye toward the opportunity divined by the dream or the message, because it comes from beyond, a source that is greater than us. Who's to say what is truly real? Maybe that dream world is why we're all here, and maybe we're here just working out the details. But just like the Technicolor Dreamcoat that Joseph is given, we are meant to live in a Technicolor world, vivid and bright with possibility and wonder, even when everything seems most dark and bleak and gray and hopeless. The vivid color of life lived with promise, positivity, and light is always there for us, because God and the angels, they're all over this Haftarah, this Parsha, they are always walking beside us. We don't see the whole picture. There is a show right now, I think it's on Apple, called See. There's 3 seasons, and the world is destroyed, these futuristic, apocalyptic things, and the generations of humans to follow are all born blind. And then suddenly, those with sight are starting to be reborn again, and they're considered wishes, and they want to kill them, because they're afraid that if people see again, the world will fall into the same ruin that it had fallen into before. And it's kind of amazing. There are 2 young children that can see, and the father that can't see leads them and says, "It's amazing to me how you're the one with the vision, but you can't see." And that's exactly what we have to be careful of. We need to know that, for example, with Joseph, when he was on the losing end of the battle with his brothers, he didn't know that one day he would be the victor and he would save them all. But when he got there, he was compassionate, he was kind, he was forgiving. And as our Haftarah portion for this Shabbat states, not by might and not by power, but by spirit alone, Ruach, shall we all live in peace. Words from thousands of years ago as relevant today as yesterday and generations past. This part of this Haftarah portion from Zechariah aligns with Shabbat Hanukkah because we are meant to remember the miracle of the oil. And Zechariah doesn't line up always, all the time with Hanukkah because of the way we move around. And this is really important at this point in time with what we're dealing with as Jews, as a nation, as a people. The miracle of that military victory when all seemed most lost was a miracle that turned a curse into a blessing. And if we are hopeful and positive, we can do this again if we have faith. We are to remember that it is not by might or power that we prevail, but by Spirit, by the Ruach Elohim, the Spirit of God that resides within us and alongside us, guiding us always through our trials, our tribulations, toward victory. And to remember the oil. It is written that when the text says by Spirit, oil represents the Spirit. Oil lubricates, creating ease of movement, a smoothness when applied, signifying that there is less friction and wear amongst those people who are lubricated by the Spirit of God. Oil heals. It was used medically for years in biblical times. The Spirit of God brings healing and restoration. So as we think of the oil and we fry those latkes in oil, we need to know that we're actually not going to have heart clogs and bad health from it. We're actually going to be lubricating our spirit and our soul toward healing and restoration. Oil lights when it is burned in a lamp. Some Chanukah-Vayeishev, they have little glass jars with oil and a little wick in them. When there is the Spirit of God around us, what do we have? Light. Oil warms when it is used as a fuel for a flame. When the Spirit of God is there around us and within us, we have warmth, we have comfort. Oil invigorates. Have you ever had a massage? What do they use? They use oil when the divine Spirit invigorates us with faith, when we have prayer, when we act in the ways of God that are holy and pure. We are cleansed, we are massaged, we are soothed, we are invigorated, we are liberated in a sense. We become one with our soul and our physical body. Oil is adorned when it's mixed into perfume. It adorns us in our body, and the divine Spirit adorns us literally with radiance. Sometimes you can see the light of God in somebody's face, making us more engaging and pleasant to be around. So instead of scowling and being all upset, if we see someone that's upsetting us, let us connect to the radiant light of God that is within us and radiate that out and change the dynamic. And then oil can be used as a polish. We oil things, our furniture, and the divine Spirit restores and redeems us, much like oil, smoothing out our rough edges. So this oil we are meant to connect to, and the miracle of light, that connection to the miracle, helps to turn that curse into blessing. The connection to the miracle of having it at this time at Hanukkah is going to obliterate the curse of Hamas and bless us all with peace and light if we have faith and maintain the connection to the opportunity and the reception of miracles. So as we go forward through the Shabbat and the rest of Hanukkah, let us remember that oil. Let us renew our belief in miracles even when feeling most despondent. And let us know and remember that they can, they have, and they will continue to happen. Let us restore our faith that victory can be had in the face of that which seems so unbelievably hopeless. And let us find comfort and healing in the knowledge that God is within us and beside us, along with the angels always guiding us. Let us have faith that there is a divine plan that we cannot see, and that the righteous will prevail. And let us have faith that dreams may come to guide us. Let us have courage and tenacity and the patience to act upon them. And may the season of light which comes at the darkest point in our calendar illumine our way through the challenges ahead. Let us be victorious, renewed, and redeemed for the purpose of sharing, remembering not by power and not by might, but by Spirit, the Ruach Elohim, the Spirit of God, shall we all live in peace. May our curses become blessings. May we connect to the miracle. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. Shabbat Shalom.